Control what you can control. It'll make things much easier in life. And you'll realize that you spent so many years with anxiety or unworthiness or insecurity, all the whatever your vices, driving you to a destination you thought would actually make that feeling go away. When in reality, you can't. You can't plant apple seeds expecting oranges to blow.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for joining another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about something that is near and dear to my heart due to the fact that I see different people just in general struggling with. I've never met a person who worried themselves into a better situation. And so there's this whole term I refer to it. It's called white knuckling life. And so there's plenty of times that I have conversation with people and they try to control the uncontrollable. And so they'll go through situations. I'll tell you, like I was talking to a business owner and he's like, hey, I need to set up 30 calls in the next week in order to ensure that like I'm making things happen and things moving. And so I'm like, all right, why 30? Why 30 calls? He was like, I don't know. That number just felt right. I said, okay, that seems kind of arbitrary to me. Like, why the hell do you need 30? Don't you really just need one? Are you just that bad at closing that you need to have 30 conversations in order to close one? Like, where's this data point coming from? And so as I dug into it, he was trying to call people in different phases of the cycle because he believed that he could apply enough pressure onto it for this problem to be solved. And I go, yeah, you can do that shit if you want to, but the reality is you're just going to end up stressing yourself out because you're anxious right now. This is why I look at the emotion you're experiencing is way more critical than the actions you take. When anxiety happens to come to you, that's okay. Like to be able to be there, if you feel it, it goes through. Allow yourself to feel the emotion to happen to be there. What you don't have to do is take action from it, because anxious thoughts create anxious actions. Anxious actions create what you believe will actually be the resolution to your problem. It actually creates chaos when you think it will give you peace. And then what's happening is inside of yourself, you're training that element constantly to show up for you. And then that emotion gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And guys, I'm going to tell you, as human beings, we're pretty predictable. All we are is a collection of thoughts, beliefs, actions, and emotions. So everybody has a typical habit loop that they execute inside of. And they execute inside of that way because that's just what you've been trained. And unless you can identify exactly what the emotion you're experiencing is, then you won't ever really be in the driver's seat. You'll always be a passenger to your emotions. And so when I look at that space and I look at that place, I'm going to share a little story. I used to drive from there. I used to drive from a space of unworthiness. And so what does unworthiness show up as? You become highly likable. You become a yes man. You become a people pleaser. And then what happens is that you're living somebody else's dream and you never actually take time to audit yours. You never go through and realize, like, why am I doing this? You become a yes man to everything. So then what happens is that, like, as you're seeing opportunities or things coming across, you have this delusional way of thinking you can accomplish everything. You have a delusional way of thinking you can solve everybody's problem, when in reality, you really can't. And then what happens is that, like, you start training away of that. Like, in order for you to move or get excited, it's like somebody has to piss you off. This is what happens a lot of times to ex-athletes, by the way, because in most athlete situation, you value the coach who was the hardest on you. So, like, you go and you're like, all right, you have this paranoia that your competition is out there getting better on you. And so if somebody's not demeaning you and talking down to you and going through that process, you get to a space where you don't feel like they actually value you. So in a weird kind of way, you actually value love towards being talked down to. Well, what ends up happening when you're not in a sport, you get to a place and you start like, it's really not that important. Unless it's either the championship or bust. If I don't win the championship, that's not a good season. And if you look up, Giannis had the same kind of conversation when he lost in the playoffs a few years ago. And people had the nerve to say he doesn't have the heart of a champion. He doesn't have the heart to be able to be there. It's a championship or bust. Well, I'm here to tell you. You're saying that your only value is if you win a championship? What happens about growth? That becomes a destination focused and not a journey focused in life. And I'm here to give you a little secret. Life is a spectrum. There is no end. School taught us about like learn, test, dump, learn, test, dump. And then move to the next grade. But in life, it's not there. You have different phases of life, but like, it's not really there. It's a spectrum. There's a journey. There's things you're going to learn. You're going to keep seeing things pop up if you don't accomplish your demons. So if you look at a space of like being transactional, well, then it's only championship or bust. But when we look back on data points and look at it and look at probability, we realize that there's only ever one team that wins. So the likelihood is 1 out of 32 teams has a chance to win. And you're telling me that my growth doesn't matter unless I win a championship? That's an inverse relationship with the expectations of what you're going to realize in life. So if you're looking at it, if you come from a place of unworthiness, the only value you ever tie is to winning the really big thing, that you miss out on all the small wins that help make the big thing possible. And that's what ends up happening when you subscribe to that. That's why I always tell you your emotion is the most important thing. You have to first clarify exactly what you want. Because without clarification, I'm sorry, you're just going to be on the merry-go-round of life and all it is chaos. And we think that in a way, money will help bring peace, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't change the operating system inside of you. Money is a magnifier. Money is given because of value exchange in particular situations. You can lie, cheat, and steal to get that money. But guess what? What goes around comes around, Or if you look at it and you can do it ethically and go through the process, it may take you twice as long. But what are we training inside of ourselves as we take those actions? What are we really embodying to bring to those close to us? Because unfortunately, it's not a lot about what you say. It's about what you embody. It's about how you show up and how you transfer these little things called mirror neurons to other people. So if I'm in a space of going ahead and seeing that like situation in life, let's just talk about relationships. So we look at relationships and I'm going to give you 2 examples. So you and your spouse are in a place where you're just like, hey, you white knuckling a relationship. What does that look like? That means you want to control every element of what they're doing. Hey, who you talking to on the phone? Hey, who you hanging out with? Who you around? Hey, what kind of conversations going on? Who'd you speak to at work? What did you say about me? Oh, don't say these things. Only say these things about me. Okay, like, where are you going after work? How long did it take you to get home? Did you stop anywhere along the way? Why'd you stop there? How long did you stop for? I need to see all your messages of what you're sending. Or option B, hey, what time do you get home? All right, cool. I'll be here. Do you need to make dinner? Cool. Hey, I'm going out of town. You know me. I don't call very much because of where I'm at. But like if you I'll call you in the morning because I know you're on your way to work, be able to be there. That's fine. Hey, coming back home. Been a couple days. Love you. See you soon. Option B, right? So if you look at the two, we look at that equation and we look at those situations. Which one do you feel that a person had a certain level of insecurity? And then which one do you feel like that person felt completely secure in the relationship? This example is the same example that you can do in life or investing to be able to be there. First question I always ask myself in a situation is like, I look for what's controllable in the situation that I can control that's going to have the best return on investment. So if I'm in a situation like we look at like buying a building, and I go, all right, cool. Tell me a little bit more about the building. Who are your tenants? What's the hold? What's my return? Okay, good. And they ask me, they're like, do you want to see the building? Send me pictures. All right, cool. You're there, right? I'm not flying over there. Why don't you just walk around? And they send me a FaceTime. Look at the building real quick. All right, cool. I'll look at the neighborhood comps. Cool, that's fine. Boom, that's it. Conversation was all of probably 20 minutes. Why? Because I understand that I'm in a space of like, I can control what I control. Here's the reality. That building can be in a flood zone. That building can be in a place where you have bad tenants. These are the variables I cannot control. I can put everything in place and it still doesn't matter. You have a brand new build and foundation settles on you. So I control what I can actually control. And then anything else that's going to take mental bandwidth takes me away from being able to show up as the husband, father, brother, like partner in business, the people I need to be. So I'm not going to spend any time there because time is the most critical thing in life. As you get older, time moves faster. It doesn't slow down for anybody unless you're doing a plank. So all of this to say, like, you're not going to worry yourself into a better situation. So the analogy I always use is that, like, getting on an airplane. When you get on an airplane, do you ever ask to see what the service records are and the maintenance records are for that airplane? Do you ever look for the credentials of the pilot or the stewardess that you're going to be there? Do you go through the process of interviewing exactly who's going to be on the plane? Nope. What do? You sit your ass in the chair, they taxi, they do whatever they want, and then hopefully your ass lands at the destination within the time period you thought you were going to be there. And I've witnessed as people are freaking out throughout the plane, and then you got me who sleeps the entire time. Same plane, same variables, two completely different experiences. Control what you can control. It'll make things much easier in life. And you'll realize that you spent so many years with anxiety or unworthiness or insecurity, all the whatever your vices, driving you to a destination you thought would actually make that feeling go away. When in reality, you can't. You can't plant apple seeds expecting oranges to blow. It just doesn't work. That math doesn't matter. So to land a plane, have fun. Life is an experience. It's a journey. You get knocked down 11, stand up 12. Things are going to be there. And I'm here to guide you through any of those different processes to be there. So as always, you can find me on all social media channels. First name Sylvania, last name Harrod. And I welcome all DMs, all messages across the way. And I'm here as a guide for you. So hope you enjoy this episode. And until the next one, cheers, my friend.